Hello, I am Yong Soon, the CEO of Atom. Thank you so much for welcoming me with such enthusiasm. Today, I would like us to talk about habits and think about how we should live. Shall we read this together? Let's begin. You've probably heard the term balanced life in our company, right? In a balanced life, we talk about achieving balance in 4 areas: spirit, soul, body, and society. In other words, let's aim to be spiritually healthy, mentally healthy, physically healthy, and socially healthy. This is one of Atom's goals. Now, let me ask you a question. How can we determine if someone is spiritually, mentally, physically, or socially healthy in all aspects and dimensions of their life? What should we look at in that person? That's right. You can tell by looking at their habits. So, if you truly want to live a balanced life, you need to develop habits. That's how you live a balanced life. Also, habits lead to changes in life like this. If you want to change, what should you create? You need to create habits. Shall we take dieting as an example? There are many people who want to diet, right? But strangely, we dislike change because our brain likes the current state, the current brain. But in our hearts, we want to become better than we are. So we keep trying to make changes. We decide to go on a diet. We skip meals. We exercise. Then, if you skip meals, can that continue as a habit? Can eating just a little bit continue as a habit? That's difficult. You exercise, right? You have to walk or run for an hour every day, but it's hard to keep up. Do you know why? We resist. How do we resist? If you eat a little, it makes you feel hungry. Our body does. You run for an hour, right? When you go out to exercise, it feels bothersome. You think about it because you resist, so turning it into a habit is very difficult. At one point, when I was preparing for college entrance exams, I weighed 115 kilo. When I sat down on a chair, if a pen fell and I tried to pick it up, my side fat would fold. I thought, oh no, this is a big problem, and tried to lose weight. But all sorts of thoughts came to mind. No, I'm preparing for college entrance exams. I shouldn't lose weight. I need to study. So I need to eat a lot. I had these thoughts too. If I exercise, it feels like a waste of time. I'm a person who studies. I need to study hard and quickly get into medical school. So I resist. If you want to become a good and admirable person, you need to develop habits. And you must overcome this resistance to build those habits. To help you with this, we are currently running a program called AWC, and probably around May, or June, a beta version will be released for you to test. Our brain has areas for conscious actions and areas for unconscious actions. The conscious decisions like, I should do this or that, make up about 60%. The actions we do unconsciously, without thinking, make up about 40%. However, when something is repeated and practiced continuously, what was once done consciously shifts to being done unconsciously. Shall we take a look at when you first learned to drive? When you first started driving, did you consciously think about every single road you drove on? You pay attention to everything, right? You're tense, worried about getting into an accident, so you drive very cautiously. But after about 3 years, how do you drive? You drive like this, right? You drive casually like this, with ease. Because when something done consciously is repeated, it transitions to being done unconsciously, forming a habit. The reason for this is that our brain turns everything that is too tiring into a habit. So in order for our brain to use energy efficiently, when something done consciously is repeated over and over, it turns into an unconscious habit. This is the law of habit. Fruit. Then, how long does it take for something conscious to become an unconscious habit? It takes 6 months. It starts from 6 months. A circuit is formed in the brain like this. But a circuit formed in 6 months is weak and can easily break. At least 1 year, 2 years, 3 years are needed for the behavior to be repeated within us and become a habit. In medical terms, this is called an engram. Whether an engram has been formed or not, you need to consciously repeat and repeat and repeat for at least 6 months. This applies to dieting too. You know, there was the Lunar New Year recently, right? If you gather and eat 10 cups, you gain weight. Is it easy or difficult to lose that kind of weight? It's easy. Because that weight is not truly yours. Your sides fold, your belly sticks out, it's hard to breathe, your pants don't fit, and you think it's a big problem, so you try to lose it, and it comes off easily. But if that weight is maintained for 6 months, if you maintain it for 6 months straight, from that point on, losing weight becomes extremely difficult. Because that weight is 4 years old. Who dares to challenge a 4-year-old? That's why it's hard to lose it. To shed that weight, you need to maintain your weight again for 6 months. So, if you want to become an amazing person as you go through life, by turning conscious actions into unconscious habits, you can become truly remarkable individuals. It repeats like this, doesn't it? This habit emerges as a repetitive automatic behavior. Repetitive automatic behavior can be both mature and immature. Are there any of you here who worry about this? Why am I like this? Why am I always like this? Do you worry about this? Those people have habits of immature behavior. Shall we talk about the opposite? Why is he like that? Then he has a habit of immature behavior. Everyone in class A probably wants their children to do well in school, so they keep saying, study a bit, study a bit. What on earth are you doing? Mom and Dad are working so hard, and what are you doing? Then, if they don't study, they say things like, the kid next door is doing well, but what about you? You know it's useless to say that 100 times, right? So, it's useless. Saying that won't make them study. What should we do to make our children study well? Studying? You should aim to create a habit. If you just say, study well, you will fail. 100%. When immature habits disappear, and only mature habits remain, that becomes the person's character. So, to determine whether someone is truly mature in character or not, you can look at their habits. Generally, we judge by habits how they dress, speak, their gestures, expressions. All of these are habits. By looking at those habits, you can think, this person is admirable in character. When you look at me, do you think I have an admirable character? Thank you. By developing good habits myself, you too can create good habits. This habit also becomes the starting point of change. When change begins, it starts with altering habits. Perhaps while you were running your business, there were people who just took advantage of you, draining you without contributing to the business. Then, one day, they suddenly came to the center and said they were going to start the business themselves. And then they suddenly start attending meetings regularly. What would you think in that situation? If a partner does that, don't you think, let's see how long this lasts? Don't you think, let's see how long this lasts? But when you say, let's see how long this lasts, it means you're observing whether this becomes a habit. Let's see how long this lasts means I will watch your habits. So when this habit combines with perseverance, it's incredibly powerful and can determine your life. If you endure and build habits, and endure and build habits, anyone can succeed and become an impressive person. Why can't you succeed? It's because you don't develop the habit of perseverance. If you develop the habit of perseverance, anyone can become an expert in that field. As I've mentioned, sometimes I wasn't good at studying in high school. When I took the English test, there were about 60 questions in the Scholastic Ability Test, and I had to solve them from number 1 to 60, like this. When the questions appeared, I was amazed as I looked at them. From number 1 to 60, there wasn't a single question I knew. I was truly amazed. How could it be that I didn't know even one? I have these thoughts. So, what should I do about this? But this is how I take the test. When someone who isn't good at studying takes an English test and knows nothing, do they solve the questions? Or do they guess? Those who say they guess are all good at studying. We solve them. We keep solving the questions, and then we run out of time. The teacher says to stop now, right? We say, if only we had 5 more minutes, and so we keep solving the questions. But the way we solve them is completely nonsensical and absurd. The easiest one you all know well. When asked, which of the following statements is correct? Among options 1, 2, 3, and 4, which one do you choose? The longest one? The wrong one? The shortest one? Which one represents this passage? This is the hardest part. What is the main theme of this entire passage? These are the most difficult questions, and they consume all the time. Do you know how they do it? They count the number of times a word appears in the passage. For example, they note how many times school appears and write it down as 4 times. They write down breakfast as appearing 5 times, and then they choose the passage with the most frequent word occurrence. Solving one question like this takes almost 10 minutes. Then when do you solve 60 questions? Time flies by, it's really tough. Later I went to medical school. Do you know how I got into medical school? An English dictionary. I looked at the Dong A Prime English Dictionary about 100 times. I memorized all the words in there. When did I memorize them? Whenever I had a 10-minute break, I would write down 20 words and memorize just those for 10 minutes, over and over again. While cleaning at school, I would memorize just those. Before going to bed, I would look at them. Did I wake up in the morning? I would review what I saw yesterday. By repeating this over and over, eventually, as soon as a word appeared, I would know what it was. If you add repetition and patience to your habits, there is nothing you can't achieve in life. That determines your entire life. So, a habit involves a triggering action. Thank you. You repeat this routinely. Then a reward emerges. This reward can be money or something like that, but the most important reward is what is called self-efficacy. I realized that by repeating this, it works. I'm creating a habit. I'm developing a habit. This kind of self-efficacy develops. Then, ultimately, we can move towards an important path to success. If you really want to succeed, try creating habits, and as you build them, one by one, you'll develop self-efficacy. It works, right? I think I can do it. As you continue on this path, one day you'll find yourself at the top. To put it simply, let's aim to change. Just 1% every day. Then, after a year, you achieve 37 times growth. But if you look at this graph, there's a period where it doesn't seem to work, and you wonder how long you have to keep going. Is this really going to work? Can I really do this properly? There's this period of hardship. You just need to get through this period. But how do you get through this period of hardship? You need to endure. But enduring alone is really ignorant and difficult. It's hard. So at this time, a colleague needs to help you. Would you like to hold the hand of the person next to you? Try saying this. Friend. Let's go together. Friend. Please help me. When you are forming a habit, the person next to you needs to help. Only then can the community build this together. There is another method when forming a habit. Some people say, I am an imperial. To become an imperial, to become an imperial, to become an imperial, they focus on this outcome and say, I will become an imperial. And they work really hard. They meet people and introduce products and so on. In my opinion, it's not easy for such people to succeed. It's possible, but not easy. The moment you act to become something, the people you meet no longer appear as goals, but as means. I met 10 people because I need to become an imperial, but among those 10 people, 2 said they would do the business, and 8 said they wouldn't do our Atomy business. Thank you. Then, do you hate the 8 people, or do you find them lovable? I asked them to join our business, but this person says they won't. Do you hate them, or do you find them lovable? For those trying to become imperial, they start to hate those people. They say things in such a rude way. If they don't want to do it, then they won't. If they don't want to do it, then they won't. Why do you have to speak so harshly? In doing so, they don't think of these people as an end, but as a means. But if I can give you a tip, I am already imperial. I am already imperial. Already. And because I am imperial, I will develop imperial habits. I will have habits. Isn't this how you think? Even if 10 out of 10 people say they won't do our business, I am imperial. How can an imperial get annoyed if someone says no? How can an imperial tell someone to do business and then say, oh, how rude, just because that person refused? No, an imperial wouldn't do that. They would say, ah, yes, I see how you might think that way. Yes, it's true. We do have a negative image because of being a multi-level marketing company. They gently continue and look for the next opportunity, meeting again and again. But if you think, I have to become an imperial, this person has to help me, this partner has to help me, these people have to help me, you end up chasing after them, and you develop a very bad habit of trying to use people. You shouldn't do that. Try saying, with your fist clenched, I am an imperial. I am already an imperial, so I hope you develop this habit. So, to become an imperial, what should you do? Try writing down only the strengths of each leader around you. That person has impressive leadership. That person has an outstanding character. That person has incredible life wisdom. That person has the courage to face difficulties. And that person manages their time well. Write all of that down and decide, I will emulate and learn that person's habits. And then try to develop those habits. If you adopt those habits, probably on the day you become an imperial, you will be the king of kings among all imperials. Really, think about becoming someone who gathers all the strengths of each person. Then you will be truly amazing. People will wonder, why does that person speak so well? Try all of these things yourselves. You don't necessarily need to become an imperial. Look at the people around you and try it yourselves, and it will all work out. So, as you develop habits to become the person you've set your sights on, you won't try to use people. It's because you're creating yourself. However, to do that, we need to eliminate immature bad habits. To eliminate them, it's good for you to write down what your bad habits are, one by one. Usually, they all fall into these 6 categories. For some people, their bad habits come out strongly when they meet certain individuals. When they go home, they say they get irritated just by looking at their kids. When they go home, They say they get irritated just by looking at their husband. They say they get really angry, and when they see their husband lying on the sofa, a sense of injustice overwhelms them. That is an immature bad habit. Look at your husband with eyes of love. Husbands are pitiful. Whenever you go to a certain place, people change. They change. I mean, at church, they act so kindly as elders and deacons. But as soon as they get to work, they suddenly say, hey, do it right, like this. That's a bad habit. As soon as it gets dark, this person changes completely. As soon as it gets dark, they get irritated and grumble. This is also a bad habit. There are many like this. It's emotional, situational, everything. Some people, as soon as they sit on the sofa, they lie down. You know someone like that, right? They're close to you, right? As soon as they eat at night, they just lie down. As soon as they turn on the TV, they put their feet up like this. All of those are bad habits. You need to write down why you do them. A pastor I know, whom I deeply respect, is a person of great character, has strong faith, and loves his congregation dearly. I'm close to him, and we talk often. But I discovered something strange about him a long time ago. When we ride in a car together, he drives, and I sit next to him. As soon as he starts driving, he has a good habit. He prays. As soon as he sits down, he grabs the steering wheel and prays, Heavenly Father, please protect our journey, keep us safe, and let us reach our destination without incident. I thought to myself, as expected, pastors are different. And then we start driving. When he starts driving, he goes, whoosh, whoosh, and gets frustrated with cars cutting in, saying, oh, come on. I don't understand. Either don't pray at all, or if you're going to pray, do it properly. He has a good habit of praying when he sits at the wheel, but as soon as he steps on the accelerator, his habits become strange. In that situation, people become strange. Everyone, try writing down what bad habits you have. In order to create good habits, decide on just one thing you want to fix, and set your priorities. Once you've decided, think deeply about why you are like that. Why am I like this? I said to the pastor, Pastor, why is that? And then he said, I developed a bad habit. Why? He said he scheduled his time very tightly, with visits every 30 minutes or every hour. So to get to the next place, he has to rush. When a car cuts in and interrupts him, he gets really angry, and he ends up swearing without realizing it. So I asked the pastor, Pastor, why do you have so many visits? Do you think God will be pleased with doing so many visits? Just schedule one every 2 hours. 1 hour is too fast. But he said he can't help it because there are so many congregants. It's not just that there are many. From what I see, when he gets angry and goes to visit, how is he going to pray there? What if the car that cut in is going to the same house for a visit, and it's a deacon from that house? What if you yell, hey, you jerk, why are you cutting in? And then you roll down the window, and it's a church member, and he said, right. Just because the pastor is late, it doesn't make the church member strange or spiritually down. The pastor should just allow 2 hours of leeway, go with a relaxed mind, talk slowly, and help out. That's better. There's no need to make it all so difficult. So one day, when I went to visit and sat down, I got into the car, and he started praying again. Heavenly Father, today our brother Yong Soon is here, so please help us not to get angry, just as brother Yong Soon said. He prayed. Then, as we were going along, he really was taking it easy. He had changed his habit. You need to think about why that is and consider making a change. If you want to change your life, think carefully about what you will use in terms of health supplements, cosmetics, and daily life products. This is also a habit. Every morning when I wake up, the first thing I do is consume something. As soon as I get up, I drink 3 cups of water, take 1 psyllium husk, and 2 packets of probiotics. Then I eat breakfast. 30 minutes later, I go upstairs and take out the beautiful Atomy products that have been waiting for me. So I consume all of that. With this habit, as I live each day, I realize that as the representative of Atomy, I've developed this beautiful habit of using Atomy products. I think about that. Him is very good. As you age, you experience aging, and to prevent aging, you need to change your lifestyle habits. You can sleep well, drink plenty of water, manage your diet, and avoid stress. Get a good night's sleep. You can manage your diet, exercise, and do all these things, but there's one thing you can't do. What is that? Can you stop aging? You can't stop aging. No matter what you do, as you age, your immunity inevitably declines. The reason is that there is a thymus gland behind the sternum in your chest. It is an organ that produces immune cells. Its function declines as you age. Immune cells are not produced adequately. As we age, our immunity declines due to unavoidable aging. You need to consider how you can change this with your habits. Among our products, there is one that significantly boosts NKS. You all know it, right? Aging is inflammation. If you can't resolve inflammation, aging begins. However, research shows that NK cells reduce inflammation. If this inflammation occurs in the brain, it can lead to Parkinson's, dementia, aging, and strokes. That's why, honestly, sometimes I don't understand when people tell me that after eating our seafood, something improved for them. But in the bigger picture, I do understand. This person had severe inflammation, and it got better. Then, there's a possibility that a variety of things could improve. So it's very important to make this a habit. It's the same with beauty. As you age, your facial skin ages too, right? Then, when skin aging progresses, can you reverse the aging process like this? Can you bring it back to 100%? Is it impossible? It's difficult. However, research shows that if the elasticity of the skin and the dermis have a certain thickness, the upper layer can be sufficiently rejuvenated. But the thickness of the dermis is important, and you need to take good care of it from the beginning. You need to take good care of it when you're young. Do you know when our skin starts to age? At 20 years old? So, should we start managing aging from 20? That's too late. You should start managing aging from your late teens. If you maintain the dermis of the skin in very good condition at that time, even if aging occurs, it will only drop to this level. However, if the dermis condition is like this, it will drop to this level. In fact, telling kids to apply sunscreen frequently and drink plenty of water is all for that reason. However, among our company's products, there is an amazing product called Cell, Active Arm Technology. It's called DDS, and it's designed so that the active ingredients can go exactly where they are needed. So if we have a skin issue, it goes right there and prepares the area, making it better. It's an amazing cosmetic product. What is it called? That's right. So if you manage it in advance, we can create a wonderful lifestyle. At AWC, we aim to share all of this with you, inform you, and provide opportunities to challenge yourselves. Atomy will join you in pursuing a balanced life and bringing about change. We will walk this path together, challenging and moving forward. Thank you.